Okay, folks, I'm sure you've seen some of my videos of me depositing books or recirculating books in these little portable libraries that are distributed throughout my city here in Redlands. Some of them are on the corner right at the intersection. Some of them are hidden a little bit against businesses. I'm about to approach one that's actually at the Olive Market. Sometimes I'll replenish the tracks in there, stock it up with gospel tracks, and then sometimes I'll dump some books in there. I'm going to put some books in there today. By the way, some of the books that I read for research, I throw in the trash can when I'm done. You may have saw me actually burn Sarah Young's book because I would never want anybody to read heresies. But there's also some books that I have read. For instance, The Upside Down Church from Greg Laurie at Harvest Christian Fellowship. I went to this church from 86 through 90 or 91. That's where I was a false convert under Greg Laurie's heretical sinner's prayer. It's a very worldly, sensual, so-called church. Anyways, as you'll see here, he wrote a little message back in 1999, I believe. Officer Retz, God bless you, from Greg Laurie. Well, first of all, I'm not into getting autographs from celebrities, but it was very nice. It was a nice thing that Greg Laurie thought of me. I was a police officer in the city of his church, and I was going through some controversial times. I was frequently in the newspapers, and thankfully that newspaper has changed their website, and when they rebuilt a new website, they didn't re-archive all of the old archives, so a lot of the stuff that was said about me was lost, and I'm thankful for that. But one thing that the newspaper did call me that I'm very thankful for, I consider it a badge of honor, is that I was called a quote-unquote a right-wing Christian extremist. A Muslim woman speaking against me, liberals speaking against me, homosexual organizations speaking against me, etc., etc. Even protest in the city council against my occupation as a police officer. But anyways, Greg Laurie was, though he was well-intended, he gave me a book about his, called The Upside Down Church, and the truth is the bottom line is his church is upside down, and so I don't think he's qualified to write this book. Very worldly, sensual, carnal church. Another one that I read for research purposes only is Harpazo by Jacob Prush, edited by Danny Isom. Danny actually is here in Redlands, California. He actually boasts about how smart he is, and how his website is he infers that his website is the place to go, the only place actually that tells the truth, allegedly. And Jacob Prush has got some good things. He's of the Wesleyan group, a Wesleyan follower. Some good things I love of the fact that he preaches holiness and sanctification, and we need to see more of that in the Reformed Church. Matter of fact, I'm glad that my Reformed Church does preach holiness and growing in sanctification and holiness. But Prash is, I liked his stance against the rapture, the unbiblical rapture that this church teaches, that our clothes are going to be folded up like they depict in the movies, that our body's going to be raptured, and there's going to be a bunch of empty tennis shoes and empty clothes all folded up just like our mother folded the clothes up for us. Such fiction. So Prash does a good job at refuting Greg Laurie's rapture that the Calvary Chapel movement teaches. And I'm so thankful that Prash does go against that. But Prash also has some teachings that I would strongly disagree with. He is a quasi-egalitarianist, as he teaches that women can preach and teach under the coverings of their husbands. Wow, that's what Joyce Myers believes. That's what Beth Moore believes. It's ridiculous teaching. But most importantly, what Prash is against is he's against Reformed theology. He and some of his followers, and even some of the pastors that follow Jacob Prash, have a skewed view of what Reformed theology is and what it isn't. Has there been some bad reformers? Absolutely. There's bad apples in every camp. But Prash ignorantly paints the whole Reformed camp with a broad brush of false teaching. So Prash, it was a good book for research. And let's see. And so that's another book I'll be recirculating in this little library. I was going to throw them away, but why not? I need to make a video. This is one from Ray Comfort. Used to be a Ray Comfort fan. I no longer am. I happen to believe that the Lord is using him just as he's using other Christians. But the problem is he's been lifted up to the level of a celebrity evangelist. He's worshipped. There's so much idol worship about Ray Comfort that in many people's eyes, they think he can do no wrong. But the problem is, yeah, God has a wonderful plan for your life. He refutes that teaching. I'm very thankful for that. But his subtitle is The Myth of the Modern Message. The problem is Ray Comfort is the modern message. He is heterodox, not orthodox. He teaches a heterodoxy and not orthodoxy. Lots of extra biblical gimmicks and tricks and gadgets and carnal ways of growing crowds. I've seen it personally. And not only that, I had lunch with their new executive director back in 2015. Easy's Wayne told me that he actually is an advocate for the sinner's prayer. An advocate for Greg Laurie's sinner prayer. Isn't this providential? And Easy's Wayne, I love him. He's a very nice fellow. But they're economical, they're heterodox, they would not be able to, Ray Comfort and his son-in-law, Easy's Wayne, would not be able to become members of my church. I would vote against them because they're against the doctrines of grace. They would not, according to our confession of faith, they wouldn't cut the mustard. So, but interestingly, Easy's Wayne, who replaced Ray Comfort's position, is actually a proponent of Greg Laurie's unbiblical, anti-biblical, heretical sinner's prayer. And not only that, is Easy's Wayne an advocate of the sinner's prayer, a very free will, man-centered Armenian soteriology. He told me that he was saved under the sinner's prayer, Easy's Wayne. And not only that, he told me that their quote-unquote director of evangelism, Mark Spence, was allegedly saved under Greg Laurie's sinner's prayer. And I believe he said that was at a Harvest Crusade. I like what Paul Washer said, and I'm not endorsing Washer by saying this, but Paul Washer said, if you think you were saved because of a sinner's prayer, no, you were saved in spite of your sinner's prayer. So this will get recycled into that little library that I'm going to go to. And of course, there's another book from Jacob Prasch for research purposes only. So. And of course, what's always important is always share the gospel, even in so-called Christian books. And let me put a gospel track in there. And there's a bunch of people sitting out there enjoying their breakfast, their coffee and tea at the Olive Market. So of course, I'm going to share the gospel with them as well. So stand by. Here we go, folks. I'm going to take these with me. I'll be handing these out. Hi, folks. Let me get in this library here. Thank you. How you doing, everybody?
All right.
Good. Anybody home? Nobody's there. Let's see. I forget how to... There we go.
Teddy, there's an MLK March next Monday. Do you have Monday off? Do you want to go to Garfield High School and march to City Hall at 12:30? Aren't you volunteers to march? What kind of volunteer opportunity are you looking for?
There you go, young man. For you guys have a beautiful day.
I'm good.
All right.
Thank you.
You know, Martin Luther King, you're going to do his prayer. Did you know that he was a frequent fornicator? He actually was committing adultery the day he was assassinated. He was not a Christian, folks. Okay? You get one of these, right?
I don't need it.
You don't need it? You do need salvation, sir. If you die outside of Christ, you will perish in hell. Okay? Please respond to that gospel call. Hello, miss. Have a beautiful day.